Hello, welcome back to KJOY 98.3. I'm your host this Sunday, Lisa Penziner, a registered nurse and director of special projects for Paragon Management, a group who manage 11 subacute facilities located in Long Island, Queens, and Westchester. Today, we will be talking about a new program, Diabetes Management and Education Program, that Lynbrook Restorative Therapy and Nursing and Excel at Woodbury for Rehab and Nursing have started. Diabetes is a chronic disease that affects how your body turns food into energy. More than 122 million Americans are living with diabetes. Just some general information. If you have diabetes, your body either doesn't make enough insulin or can't use the insulin it makes as well as it should. Over time, this can cause serious health problems such as heart disease, vision loss, and kidney disease. It is the number one cause of kidney failure, lower limb amputee loss, and blindness. There isn't a cure for diabetes, but losing weight, eating healthy food, and being active can really help. I have with me this morning Brian Kortz, Director of the Diabetes Management and Education Program at Lynbrook Restorative, and a certified occupational therapy assistant, and Scott Apgar, the Director of the Diabetes Management and Education Program at Excel at Woodbury, and a physical therapist. Welcome and thank you both for joining me today.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Okay. Let me just start out. Paragon facilities specialize in a number of clinical programs. We have a cardiopulmonary program. We have a neurological rehab. We do Parkinson's. Why diabetes?
Basically, we saw a need from the residents that were coming in our building that were having, whatever issue they came in the building with, a certain percentage of them also had diabetes as a comorbidity. So we were seeing these people in the building, and they were, recovering from whatever issues they had, but we noticed that they didn't always have the tools to best prepare them to deal with their ongoing issue with the diabetes. So we developed these programs to try and facilitate their return to home and give them the tools at home so that they can stay healthy, manage their diabetes better, and basically live a healthy lifestyle.
Right, and that's one of the big things that I know all of our Paragon facilities does is, we're just as concerned when they go home as we are while they're with us.
Absolutely. Giving them the tools there and, really leading the horse to water. You can give them so much and they could go home and, not use any of it. But it feels good to provide that care and, you really see it in their eyes when they're, getting a grasp of it and really understanding that this is something that they're going to be able to do at home.
A lot of subacute facilities, basically all subacute facilities, can take care of patients that come to them with diabetes. Usually diabetes is not the primary reason they're going to the subacute facility. It could be pneumonia. It could be for a number of reasons. And diabetes is just a secondary of what they have. All facilities can take care of their diabetes, can give them meals, can help them with their insulin, can help them. What is it about this program that we're making so different that people really would want to come to us?
Well, our goal at all of our facilities is to make sure that all of our staff are on board and understand the, education and all of the care that we're trying to give each individual patient, whatever their, need is. So for these diabetics, things like carb counting, things like making sure that there's no juices on their trays, they're getting good, healthy diabetic options. That's one of our main goals, and making sure that really all the staff is on board, understanding that's a diabetic, check the tray, making sure that they have water so they're hydrated, all of these things, and understanding on a whole continuum level that we're all together in this, and we're all trying to help each patient.
Yeah, we try and make it a fun, dynamic environment. So in addition to their rehab, they're getting these extra services. So they get additional things such as we do healthy cooking demonstrations. We do group exercise activities. We do, wound care training. you name it, we try and touch all the bases of anybody that was dealing with, ongoing diabetes, that it gives them the tools that they can help manage while they're in the building and then also while they go home.
As well as, those that ask for more, we're able to provide more. We can give them more resources. Obviously, everybody is different in regards to, what they can understand and follow through, but those that are very high functioning, most of the time ask for more, or ask for things that they could look at or read to better knowledge themselves.
No, that's great. I know a lot of times, when you talk to people in the community or around that have been to subacute facilities, one of the first things, they'll say is, well, the food was okay, and, I have diabetes, but they really didn't watch what they were giving me. I ended up with, white bread on my plate, and I ended up with this and that, and I had to remind them. And that's across the board. That's every facility. You can't. What's the reason why, and is that the reason why we're doing this?
I mean, that's part of it, but we have a registered dietitian that obviously oversees some of the meal planning, and then in addition to that, we do education about, carb counting and, watching your intake overall, and trying to make it healthy. We don't tell people they can't have certain things. We just try and educate them as to why certain things are better for them and why certain, you have to make certain, concessions. Choose one thing, maybe one meal, and then, the rest of the day try and be a little cleaner with it. But we really do try and give them the tools so that they can manage and make the decisions on their own. In addition, we really do try and give them additional opportunities to eat healthy and eat carb conscious. We've developed some healthy recipes that we do cooking demonstrations and tastings in the building. And even beyond that, we've partnered with Ivorone Brothers to do some healthy cooking demonstrations and also work with them to get some of their dishes, get the recipes for the residents that they can try, and then also try and incorporate that into some of our meal planning in the facilities as well. That's
great. Yeah, that was one of the big things that our program at Lynbrook and at Excel is that Ivorone, who is a food business, has partnered with us and is very excited to be working with us on this healthy promotion. And one of the nice things about it is that when the patients do go home, Ivorone is in the community. So they can certainly go visit Ivorone and be assured that they can get the food that they're looking for and education that they need. So that's great. What sets the program apart? Like, when you come in, what are the things you do for this program?
Well, everybody that is diabetic will be approached at some point about joining the program, and not everybody has to join the program. That's not, that's in their right as well. But we're different because we're, from day one, we are really delving into each individual person, asking them, questions about what their diet is at home. So we can really, having that time at rehab and knowing that they're going to be there, getting stronger, working on maybe some other different things. This is a perfect time to, maybe relearn if they've been to an endocrinologist or, of how to eat healthy and how to maybe take some of those unhealthy snacks or foods out of their kitchens and switch it up with something that may be, much more diabetic friendly and healthy.
So you're really going to be doing it on a case-by-case basis?
Yeah, we try and individualize it because, again, not everybody has this, the same, similar issues that they're struggling with. Some people struggle with weight. Some people struggle with wounds. Some people just struggle with uncontrolled, blood sugar issues. So we really do try and make it as individualized as possible. And again, to just elaborate on what Brian said, what kind of sets us a little bit apart too is that, while most facilities do have a multidisciplinary approach, we bring it all under one umbrella. So we have an endocrinologist that sees the residents. We have ourselves that are overseeing the program, so we're involved, day to day with these residents and know what they're dealing with. They give us feedback on what's going on with their diets. We can see what their blood sugars are. We can talk to the endocrinologist. We can talk to the nursing staff. We can talk to the kitchen. I mean, we can really, in real time affect how their recovery is going in the facility. And in the meantime, we're trying to give them, the options and opportunity to get educated on things that can help them to continue to recover, not only in the facility, but then once they go home as well.
So really, they're getting a twofold program when they come to the rehab. They're not only getting their physical rehab for whatever reason they were brought into the hospital, but they're getting education and information so that when they go home, they can continue with the healthy lifestyle.
Absolutely. And part of it, too, is we do follow-up calls to the residents. We also are starting a support group so that we can have, the former residents and also just people from the community participate. So if people have, general questions, or if they left the facility and now they're something, they're not in such a controlled environment anymore, and now maybe things are getting away from them a little bit. We try and touch base with them. We give them, the resources to check in with us so that if they have any questions, we're available to try and, help them while they're home. Because again, we want to, have this as an ongoing program, not just, you're in the building, we want you to recover, which we do, but we also want it to be ongoing so that you don't have to go back to the hospital or go to a rehab facility. And we want you to, to continue to be able to live and manage your diabetes, on your own.
Do you find, I know I have found over speaking to a lot of people that people don't really realize how invasive diabetes is and how it affects every part of your body, not just, some people will say, oh, I know I have to check my feet and I know I have to have my eyes checked, but I don't think they really realize the effect it can have on every part of your body. And I think, is that something that, you go over with them and talk about and try to educate?
Absolutely. We don't try and use scare tactics, but obviously we do talk about what the complications of, uncontrolled blood sugars are in the short term and in the long term. Obviously, there's significant health issues related to both. We also have, consultants that come in, so we have eye doctors that come in the building. We have wound care specialists that come in the building. We have physiatry consults. So we have an endocrinologist, obviously, that's overseeing their case as well. So we do try and address all of the components, but again, using information and not scare tactics to, giving them the information, and then everybody has a choice they can make and how, they want to proceed and move forward, but at least we're giving them those options and giving them the resources to make that decision.
Right. Even a pre-diabetic that's, in a hospital that really isn't really technically a diabetic yet would get a lot out of the program, correct?
100%. Those pre-diabetics are probably the most, beneficial. All the education is much more beneficial.
The pre-diabetics might even be an option where we have more room to, show them the tools that they can actually benefit as much, if not more, than some of the actual diabetic patients. And we definitely have people in that category that we've been dealing with and have gone through our program. So the idea would be to, again, give them the information about the short-term and long-term consequences, and hopefully they'll pick up on the things that we're giving them the information about, and maybe they can even turn that corner so that they remain pre-diabetic and don't actually, turn the other direction.
Great.
Even if that's just weight loss,
exactly.
Even if it's just eating healthy and losing weight may help them, knock down their numbers to the point where they're maybe out of that pre-diabetic range.
That's great. So if somebody comes to the facility, they're coming for their rehab, what can they expect kind of their day to be like? Because again, when you go to rehab, I know you have a lot of, physical and occupational therapy. How does this intertwine with that during the day?
We do have some designated specialists in the rehab department that are, typically assigned to the people that are diabetic or pre-diabetic, so that they're aware of their conditions and they've been, trained in dealing with things more associated with people that do have diabetes. So they'll coordinate it and have it, implemented in conjunction with their normal rehab therapies. Then in addition to that, they're getting educational sessions, sometimes in an individual basis and sometimes in a group setting. Then we also have, like larger group activities where it can sometimes be exercise based. Sometimes it's, like I said before, it could be food, cooking and food sampling type events. It can be how to monitor your blood sugars. We have education on just checking, finger stick checking. We have continuous glucose monitoring education. We have different options available for, like I said before, an individual type basis. So if people have wounds that they're concerned about or skin care issues they're concerned about, we can tailor it towards that. If whatever they come across that, diabetes affects, we have some type of intervention in addition to the normal therapies that we can help them to deal with that issue.
Right, that's great. I know it's relatively new that we've started this, but what have you found of the patients that come that have diabetes? Are they as educated as you would have thought, or do they not have as much education as, what are you seeing when the patients come?
Well, the severity of the diabetics range from, 0 to 100. So there could be people that are extremely managed. I mean, I've learned the most probably from some of my managed residents, that really, one lady that sticks out in my mind said to me, well, when I go to a restaurant, the first thing I do is I check the dessert menu. And if there's something on there that I want, I'm going to get it. And if not, I'll have a glass of wine. And that's the decision-making process that, we're really teaching them here at Excel, at Limbrook, out of all of our facilities. And, that's what we want them to take home with them, is those type of, real things that stick in their mind that are going to make them make a lifestyle change that will only, greater their health in the long run.
And they don't have to be afraid that diabetes now has changed their entire life, because nowadays there are so many options and so many things out there that you can live a great life, great food, do what you want, and still manage your diabetes safely.
Absolutely. I mean, as Brian said, we have people that run the gamut from people that are, very unaware of their condition to people that are, probably know as much, if not more than we do. I mean, they know about themselves to a T. They know certain foods will trigger their blood sugar to spike. They know they'll drop low at certain times. They really have things dialed in. So with those people, we just try and, use those people sometimes as resources to help in the group setting with some of our other residents that are, hold them up as an example. But again, it really, it is, a wide variety of people coming into the building. You have different education levels, different backgrounds, different phases of life. I mean, again, for the most part, we're dealing with the senior population, but, again, you can make, differences earlier on in life. It does carry, forward, and it makes your life quality and longevity that much better.
And also the social aspect of just getting together and talking about, being on that peer level of, all having diabetes or pre-diabetic. It could be any age group. I feel like they learn off each other, they feed off each other, they shop at the same stores. Oh, you could get this instead of this, and it's half the carbs. So, all of those things are things that we've thought about and, put in place for a reason.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've even learned with running all these support groups is you learn from each other. You're out there by yourself, you're not sure what you're doing, and somebody suddenly gives you a great idea that you never thought of. And you feel like you're part of a community, and you don't feel alone, and you don't feel like you're dealing with this by yourself.
And particularly, with the, pandemic, obviously people felt even more isolated than they had in the past. And, it was harder to even get together. Some people weren't even going to some of their doctor's visits, or they were avoiding, hospitals or doctors and medical, field in general. And, sometimes that led to, negative consequences. So hopefully now, we're giving them tools. We're hopefully, coming towards the, later stages of this pandemic, and we could start doing more in-person things, but, that's part of the reason we're developing this support group, so that we can, have people feel comfortable, even if it's, through a video link, to discuss their conditions with others.
Great. Now tell me, I know they go home about a bunch of information. So tell me a little bit about when they're getting ready to be discharged and they're getting ready to go home and they're going home by themselves. They're going to be, living with their husband or wife, and they're not really people that cook, and they don't have, our goal is we want to keep them out of the hospital. We want to keep them healthy. We want to keep them safe. So we want to send them home with as much information and good things as we can. What do we do about discharge?
One of the lines that most residents tell me is, I was doing just as good at home. Why can't I get home? And one of my lines back to them for that is, I want to give you more tools so you don't have to come back to a place like this, because you're going to have everything that you need to be set up. So really giving them the power to make their decisions, giving them these diabetic-friendly recipes to go home with, giving them the carb counting, breakdowns, as well as wound care, as well as, the dietary issues, is all something that gives them the power to go home and do it themselves. So, I think that right there, and the amount of information that we give them, and most of these people, like I said before, have seen an endocrinologist, maybe once, maybe it was a long time ago, but it's a refresher. It's and they can always go back and look. What did Scott say? What did Brian say about, and there's different types of nutritional substitutes that they could use that would just be more diabetic friendly, healthy for longevity.
Good. And one of the things I know that both of the facilities are doing is really upping their game as far as the food options that they're going to give these diabetics when they come to the facilities. Part of that was the connection that we made with Eye of Our Own. Mm-hmm. We have now a partnership with them. So the hope is that some of these chefs are going to give us really carb-friendly, diabetic-friendly recipes. We're going to have more of a selection. I know most subacute facilities really don't have that many selections when it comes to diabetic choices. So that's one of the big things. I mean, the two big things with diabetes, I know, in a rehab is the nursing and making sure you keep your insulin, and the food, because the food will get you every time.
Yes, that seems to be everybody. Everybody has to eat. Everybody, obviously, wants to try to eat healthy. We're trying to give them the tools to make sure that they can do that. And as you said before, with this partnership with Eye of Our Own, we've actually already done some cooking demonstrations, some samplings of the dishes that they prepared. It got an overwhelming positive response. We're continuing to do, like every other week, we do cooking demonstrations with samplings with the residents that are in the program, and we give them the menu breakdown of how to prepare the meal, all of the caloric values and all of the carb counts with them. And if they like the recipe, that makes it very easy for them to just take it home. They've tried it already. They know they like it and enjoy it. I've had people come back and tell me I'm definitely going to make this, or I'm going to have my husband or wife make this for me. So we've already gotten to that point where people are already saying they're going to give these things a try.
That's great. I mean, you're really talking and saying, okay, what do you like? What do you normally eat at home? So what you do is you take what they normally eat at home and you tailor it.
You adjust it.
You adjust it to make it the way they need to. You give them the recipe and you give them the tools. And that's half the battle. Because I know it's scary when they go home. They have you there in the facility handing them food and giving them what they're supposed to eat. But when they go home, they've got to deal with it. Mm-hmm. So, you've got half the group that will cook and half the group that will bring in. Mm-hmm. And one of, as I said, the advantages of us partnering with Eye of Our Own is that Eye of Our Own does have pre-prepared meals. And they do have carb-friendly, diabetic sections. And, anybody that's interested, when they go home, that's definitely an option.
That's another one of the groups that we run, actually, Lisa, is a food label analysis while we do some of these cooking demonstrations, because we want our residents to know what to look for, what is healthy, the amount of fibers, so we can make the right decision when it comes to choosing a snack or choosing a dinner or lunch. Here's a question for you. Morning breakfast time at most facilities, what's given on the tray, right? Some kind of hot cereal, an oatmeal, a cornmeal, cream of rice. Now, a cup of all of these have about 130 grams of carbohydrates. So that right there is almost your daily, 2-meal intake in a bowl of cereal that most places are giving to every patient. So you don't think about it, and it's good. Go eat up all your oatmeal, that's fine. And steel-cut oatmeal is much better. There's all these different ways that we can really tailor and make them understand that they're doing the right thing by, maybe it's $1 more a box, but in the long run, it's a much healthier lifestyle.
And like you said at the beginning, I like what you said, that some of these people can actually think, you know what, if I really want that piece of cake and I'm going out to dinner, then you know what, I could do that. I just have to watch what I do during the day to be able to enjoy that. So you're not really giving up and losing out on life and what you like to do, which a lot of people, it's eating.
You have to live, absolutely. I think every good endocrinologist, even when I'm talking to residents and, would tell you that you can have that, you've done so well, you've managed so well, have that piece of cake every once in a while. Don't make it a habit, but, you have to enjoy life.
Right. One quick thing I want to mention before we have to go is we also are very involved in the community. So one of the things that I know you guys are going to be doing is going out into your communities, into the senior centers, into the different areas and educating. So I just, if you want to mention just briefly some of the things that are being planned.
Well, we plan on having a great event at Limbrook with Ibarone Brothers coming in the future, hopefully September or early October. And we're also having our first support group at Limbrook. That will be August 26th. It's a Thursday. And we're excited to have the community come join us, as well as some of our patients in-house, and, talk about how we can help each other, really. As Scott and I sit here, we're the facilitators. We're here to help, the conversation continue, as well as gear it in the right direction so everybody takes something away from it.
That's great. It's a great program. It's very well needed. And I think everybody's going to really benefit from it. I want to thank KJOY for allowing us to share this wonderful program with all of you this morning. And I want to thank Brian Quartz from Limbrook Restorative and Scott Apgar from Excel at Woodbury. If you want any additional information on our diabetes management and education program or any of our other clinical programs, our cardiopulmonary, our neurological rehab, Parkinson's, or our amputee program, we all have outpatient support groups for all of them. Please contact me, Lisa Penziner. You can reach me at 516-457-5585, or you can go to our website, www.paragonhealthnet.com. I want to thank you both for joining us, and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.